Bonus Episode 2.
This is a bonus episode for The Toll, Season 2, Poison Control. There's just so much I couldn't cover in the original series. I'm Nancy Simpson. I asked Jeanette a couple of times to help me with the timeline of her niece being diagnosed with thyroid cancer. There were a couple of pointed emails asking for help piecing this together. After asking again, she writes, "What's the minimum I can give you and still give you what you need?" She'd never done that before. I realized this was a different level of hurt. Chris's words cut hard, yes. And Julia, Chris's oldest daughter, would always call Jeanette her favorite aunt. She's the one who collapsed or fainted during a dinner at her grandma Jeannie's house. I changed her name to Julia for this piece. Growing up before the family's mess, Julia would spend time with Jeanette. Watching a home movie of baby Luke, Jeanette's son, I see crafty notes and pictures on Jeanette's fridge made by a young Julia. Well, she's in some of these home movies. Jeanette would go one by one filming these kids running around, and Julia was easy to pick out, being the oldest.
Say hello.
I see a handwritten letter that starts, "Dear Jeanette, I was glad we could stay at your house for a while. It was fun talking and playing with your family." Julia was special. Chris, Jeanette's sister, married Willie. But before that, Willie was Jeanette's boyfriend for like 4 years. He spent the last year on his mission. He even lived with the Spriggs family for a while. And Chris was dating Willie's brother. Jeanette says when Willie pushed to get married, Jeanette said no. And he said, "Fine then, I'll marry your sister." And he did. Earlier in life, Jeanette says she had a dream that she was holding Willie's baby. But she was never going to have Willie's baby. But it was her niece. It was Willie's baby, just not with her. Julia was special. So a bunch of people got sick. Some of them died. And Julia was diagnosed with thyroid cancer. The FBI investigation was going strong. She says Chris had blocked her from Julia's Facebook page, so she couldn't check on her. Jeanette asked Chris if she could buy Julia a laptop, something to help her endure the downtime. Chris said, "No, thank you. She has everything she needs." Jeanette says Chris wouldn't talk about Julia's cancer, wouldn't hardly acknowledge it, even as she laid in a medical tin in the living room. She says Aunt Carol told her that, and so did Denise when they started talking some again after her breast cancer diagnosis. Yeah, so it's somewhere in here, 2010, 2 years after first discovering lumps in her breast she thought were from breastfeeding, Denise, Jeanette's youngest sister, was diagnosed with breast cancer. Stage 4. I see a home video. Jeanette is filming it, baby Luke on her lap. They're at Denise's college graduation. Just the two of them. You can see and hear Jeanette cheering on her sister. Denise, if you'll remember, was described as a spitfire. The Fulford siblings told Jeanette Denise had been pushing back against their mom, Jeannie. If you'll remember, we talked about it as we stood by the cemetery during our visit to LaBelle, Missouri.
What the Fulfords told me is that Denise, because I was not involved with them then, is that Denise went after my mom and she said, "Stop lying all the time. You lie about everything. You lie about everything. And that's why Jeanette thinks you're killing people. That doesn't mean, like, not that you're really killing people, but the fact that you lie about everything is why Jeanette doesn't believe you." That's why my mom, that was the war for a minute there. But if you were to ask her, even at the very end, we couldn't talk about it. So I don't know her real mind, but she was pretty sure that I had a screw loose, that I was thinking this. And she said, "I've walked every path with you throughout life, and I can't walk this path. This is not right." And I was like, okay. I'm not saying I know. I'm just saying, just stop and pause with me. But once the yelling started, it was, once the yelling started and the decision that I was crazy, then the listening stopped.
I want to dig into an email thread that started just before the arsenic candy hit. June 4th, Jeanette finds out her youngest sister, Denise, is coming to Utah to visit the family. Jeanette has told me how very close her and Denise were their entire lives. Calls her soul sister. And then their mom started that smear campaign. In this earlier email, Jeanette wants to lay some things out. Denise writes, I know that you may not feel like talking with me for a little while, but I just want you to know that I don't have any bad feelings toward you. We weren't able to finish our conversation today on the phone, which is probably fine, because I don't think we were really getting anywhere anyway. But the one message that I always want you to know, Jeanette, is how much I truly do love you. My love for you is not based on whether or not you are right about something. My love for you is based on the type of person that you are, and the closeness that we have had for many years. I always know that you are a big-hearted and sincere person, and I have always looked up to you for that. You also have always been there for me and done many, many fun, kind, and thoughtful things for me throughout my whole life. I don't want this to be a big issue about whether you are right or not about this stuff with Mom. Like you said, some things we may just have to find out after this life. Well, Jeanette finds out her sister is coming in June for 5 weeks for a family visit. Denise and her husband have one little boy at this time. Jeanette writes back, I do just want to address one item. I am doing just fine in all areas of my life, and I am not dying, and I am not crazy. It is important to let Mom and I deal with this as you suggested, but I would like you to know that it is important for you as a mother and a wife to be protective of your little family. Anytime that you or Brandon want to really look at any of the evidence or speak to the detective, you may. I only say this because you guys are coming to Utah in the middle of all this, and I wish you were not anywhere near here. I would feel guilty if I did not have the courage to say to you that you need to do this and risk the backlash one more time. I think that looking at this will be in everyone's face over the course of a few months, but things take longer than I thought, and I truly wouldn't even bring it up if you weren't going up there to have extended visits. Yeah, Jeanette is wishing her sister would just stay away for now. I get emotional here because I know that just a few months later, her sister, Denise, is going to find those lumps in her breast. Jeanette says the midwife told her it was from breastfeeding and not to worry. Denise goes on to fight for 7 years. And she dies. However, these people are getting sick, getting cancer, dying. The toll on Jeanette is immeasurable. And as part of the process, I have to ask her to relive all of these stories so I can get the details right. It's hard. It's sad. And to her, it's truly beyond statistical belief. Now, this email thread jumps to June 13th. Denise gets word that Jeanette's daughter is sick, saying they're all so worried. Jeanette tells Denise something is wrong with her daughter and that it appears she's been poisoned. Doctors at this point are still running tests. Denise says she's getting ready to take that trip to Utah to see everyone. Denise thanking Jeanette for her willingness to communicate, saying how much she loves her big sister and is hoping they can let go of bad feelings. Quote, you are a very special person in my life and someone that I care about deeply. Let's just give these topics some time to deal with, and maybe we can talk about them a few months down the road. End quote. The next day, checking back, Denise writes she's talked to Jeanette's husband, Matt. She writes, when Matt was telling me about it, I was thinking later about how Uncle Jim had that blood clot in his brain, and the first symptom he had was his eyes getting blurry. He went to an ophthalmologist first, and then was referred to get a CAT scan or something like that. Are the doctors going to do a CAT scan or something if they don't get this figured out soon? I don't know. It just feels like she's trying to bridge a gap in her mind here. Jeanette losing her family. Almost all of them. It's the toll.
I went into therapy trying to convince her I was crazy, and I came out of therapy thanking her for... She said, you can only be mentally healthy if you understand your past and know your own life story. And if you can't accept your own life story, then you will be mentally ill. So she said, I want you to picture your family on a boat and that they just went out into the water, and I want you to watch them go away and I want you to picture it exploding. They're all gone. This is your personal Holocaust. You'll get through it, and don't communicate with your family anymore. That's what she told me.
Was that good advice?
It was good advice that I kept until my sister got so ill that I had to throw it to the wind, and I had to talk to my sister because she was dying. I mean, I can't just not, she called me. So it put everything on hold.
Denise wrote a book. It's called Outrunning Cancer, A Young Mother in the Race of Her Life. It pops right up on Amazon. It was published, I see, in May of 2020. Denise died in 2018. Jeanette says she heard it wasn't done when Denise passed, so their mother finished it. And because of that, Jeanette did not buy a copy. On Denise's tombstone, it reads, "We vow to run our best, to splash in the stream, to raise our hands in the air, and run recklessly down the hills, to lift those we see who have fallen on the path, to tickle our little runners, to teach them all we know, and to hold hands all the way home." Thank you for listening to The Toll. Please rate and share. It all makes a difference.